was a meeting in Barcelona campus. I was attending the meeting. I said, what? You want to be part of this? But I don't want to be just a member. I want to be part of the commission.
Well, good evening to everybody. Thank you so much for this special evening to celebrate the CCA 30 years of existence. I want to specifically talk about Miguel Angel and Benigno Rojas. They have been leaders in the CCA and many other people in the board of directors from the beginning to now. And I would like to say thank you for their support again and the wonders that they have provided to all of us. So thank you again, CCA. Thank you again to all my friends, and looking forward to continue working with all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually great to have organizations like CCA Alberta that have been existed for 30 years to enhance businesses from Alberta and the Americas, which is a fantastic way for developing and sustaining businesses between the two locations. And I think we appreciate the existence of CCA Alberta and also the leadership of Miguel Cortines, who has been a great contributor to enhance business relationships between the Americas and Alberta. And we hope that with the strategic priorities of Alberta, that we could enhance more strategic partnerships. And if there's anything that we could be part of through the University of Calgary, we would be happy to partner and going forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Benigno Rojas. I'm the Senior Trade Director for the Americas with the government of Alberta. What is the meaning for me of the CCA? Well, it has been instrumental in my career through all these years, having developed a lot of business relationships with a number of companies interested in Latin America, doing business in Latin America, doing in the Americas, and building up relationships, building up the networking that has generated a lot of business synergies for Alberta companies and for our organization as well.
The CCA has been really influential in my business and the corporate side, the networking, building my business, and I encourage every single entrepreneur to register if they want to grow internationally with the CCA.
The CCA was just a fantastic opportunity for me when I was working in international business for the first time with Calgary Economic Development. And it gave me the opportunity to network with people doing business in Latin America and to really help me with my role at Calgary Economic Development and beyond. I went to the Toronto Stock Exchange after that, and I still remain very active with the CCA. I was on the board, and I was the chair of the board as well. And it was just a fantastic organization. We had wonderful events during Global Energy Show with ambassadors from countries all over Latin America. So the networking and the business opportunities were just tremendous. And I would always bring the CCA with me whenever I travel to different countries as well. And it would help me to open doors and to meet more people. So it's been a really fantastic experience.
I first met Miguel when I was running the Petroleum Services Association of Canada back in 2010 to 2018. Somewhere back in there, our paths crossed, and the biggest takeaway from that was Miguel himself and his leadership, his generosity, his openness. I used to take a lot of trips down into Latin America for my members, looking for opportunities, and Miguel was always there as a helping hand. If he wasn't on the mission himself, he would definitely help us prepare. So the biggest takeaway here is what Miguel has done with this operation in support of developing business in the Latin American countries is fantastic, and just can't say enough good things, and congratulations on 30 years. Well deserved, and keep up the great work.
The CCA, the Canadian Council for the Americas in Alberta, has been a great influence in my life in Calgary. It allowed me to meet a lot of great people, get involved in incredible projects in Mexico and Latin America. For a period of time, I was the president of the council, and I was able to organize and participate in different events that were of significant influence in my life, and allowed me to build a great network that permitted me to stay in Calgary and continue developing my professional career.
Good evening. My name is Gerald Herman, and I have been with Canadian Council of the Americas for well over 15 years. I've traveled with them to South America, Brazil, Mexico, most of Latin America, and I have had very good response. We've dealt with many oil and gas companies, and I am very pleased to say I've had very good results being a member of this association. Thank you.
So the importance of an organization like the CCA, the Canadian Council for the Americas, for trade and development or for international trade is absolutely critical. It provides another level of engagement with markets in the Americas, including potentially the US, for businesses in Alberta and for governments. It serves as a forum for exchange of information that academic institutions and that governments or producer associations can't do. So it's that critical intermediary role that groups like CCA play that enable a province like Alberta to thrive internationally.
I've always had a Latin American interest, both in terms of geography as well as culture, and that, of course, is significant for some Calgary businesses. So when I was in private practice as a lawyer with one of the large law firms in town, that was something I focused on behalf of Canadian clients. I left that job, and then I went to an oil company in-house, and I was actually hired to help develop one of the business units in a Latin American country. So both as legal counsel and then also as part of the management team. So having said that, it was quite an enjoyable career path. And all the time, the connections and the information and the business intelligence that came through CCA was highly relevant. In fact, I lived and breathed CCA for quite a while. I was a past president and quite enjoyed my work with CCA. And as I mentioned earlier, it dovetailed with what I did in terms of my career.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak in regard to how Canadian Council for Latin America and the Caribbean region has influenced my life, professionally speaking, and in my career. I have to recognize that CCA has been very influential in my career. Right now, since the moment I joined this nice organization, I have been able to get very understanding about how the markets in Latin America used to behave day by day. What is the influence from North America and America in our countries all the way down in Latin America. In addition to that, is the opportunity to strong and get day by day better networking, knowing people in Canada, knowing people in Latin America, all of them interested in developing successful businesses.
I'm really very glad that we put together this event. In the 25th anniversary, we have a great, we have like 150 people, great speakers from the States, from Canada, etc. The Alberta General Governor was with us as well, Ms. Mitchell. Today is different, but I think this is very important because I think the important people is here with us. And you are very important. You are part of this, of the blood of the CCA. And we are going to enjoy this beautiful dinner that we prepared for you. And after, in the dessert, we are going to start the memories and the conversations with some of you. Everybody's welcome. Thank you. Enjoy the dinner.
Actually, there's a little bit of history prior to that. I do recall, I think it was 1990 or 91, getting together with Bill Yashke and a few of my Latin friends. And does anybody know Diego Soto here? Anybody remember that name? He was the honorary consul for Chile for a while, not back then, but We met at the cafeteria, the coffee shop, what is now the Marriott. I don't know, Bill, if you remember that. And we talked about, I think that was 90, we talked about it. So it probably took us 3 years to incorporate. That's how slow we were. But we did start talking about that. We had negotiated some kind of a deal with the Canadian Council for the Americas in Toronto, which it turns out we were much more successful than they ever were. And who would have thought that 30 years later, 33, 30, whatever, we're still meeting. I'm kind of surprised, actually. Bill, you're still alive? I'm still alive. And I also remember, after that, we got together with Dr. Randall, Stephen Randall from the University of Calgary, probably, I'd say a few months after that, with Gordon McIver, who's not here. I don't know whatever happened to him. Does anybody know? No. And he was instrumental. He actually provided us with real estate and meeting rooms and all sorts of things. And we had a sort of a secret meeting at the Palliser Hotel, and we talked about what we're going to do. And we eventually, things got together, and you know, by hook and by crook, like I said, it probably took us 2 years or 3 years to get to 1993. But we did, also got to remember, around that time, free trade was a big deal. And I remember having to finance myself. I don't think Bill was very eager to open his wallet. We rented a room at the Westin, and we had a member, senior official, I believe he was called the Minister Counselor from Mexico City. That was our first event. I think that was the big kickoff. So that was, you know, around 30 years ago. So thank you very much for inviting me, and hope I haven't bored you with a little history lesson.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on the 30th anniversary. What a birthday present for me. What a wonderful birthday present for me.
You're an old man.
My birthday is tomorrow.
Oh!
Sort of right. The organization really started with 3 people getting together: Richard Graham, Gordon McIver, and myself. We met in the Burns building, amongst other places.
That was another secret meeting.
However, in preparation for this, I actually went back to the Gospels. I went back to old copies of the Canadian, or the CCA Alberta Orderly, Cca Xxx. Has anybody ever seen this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
CCA, in fact, was incorporated on the Ides of March 15th, 1993. Papers going in a little earlier. Our goal then as now was to provide information, introduction, and trade opportunities to Latin America, in Latin America for Canadian companies, Alberta companies. In this context, Alberta's, or CCA's first activity was in Calgary on October 22nd, 1992.
With the Minister Council?
With Andres Rosenthal,
yes.
The Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs, and he spoke about this new concept, NAFTA. That year, Cca Xxx was published for the first time. Again, the goal was to provide information to our members on our events and to provide information for the readers on opportunities in Latin America and the Caribbean. Following year, we started our relationship with the National Petroleum Show, later the Global Petroleum Show, and in 1994 we had 40 guests from Latin America and 100 members of the business community from Calgary. By the turn of the century, we had about 60 members from Latin America, and if you remember, the Crystal Ballroom was bursting. 300 guests. Over the years, CCA has been successful in cooperating with government and private sector to hold presentations, meetings, seminars, to bring together Latin American opportunities and the business community here. In 1998, we had and hosted the President of Peru on his first state visit, on the first state visit of any president of Peru to Canada. I think he went to jail.
Doesn't matter.
And I sat next to him.
In the context thereof.
He was a great guy. Unjust. A few years later, the governor of Neuquén, major oil producer in Argentina, sister province of Alberta, returned with the trade mission to the province. In 1999, we had 20 heads of missions for Latin America, Canadian heads of missions for Latin America and the Caribbean. Besides a dinner attended by about 200 people, these heads of missions had an opportunity to make connections with our members and members of the community interested in Latin America. This one is interesting. Perhaps the most memorable one is Conference Trade Americas 2001. Do you remember that? Held on the 24th to the 27th of September 2001 at the Roundup Center at the Stampede Grounds. Because of 9/11, we had no idea which speakers were going to be able to make it, and if they weren't going to be able to make it, who was going to speak on their behalf. As well, there were a lot of attendees who were looking at flying in to this city at a time when the skies were closed. It still went off. It was good. In 1997, CCA initiated a scholarship with the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary for students studying business related to Latin America. Dr. Stephen Randall, I think many of us know him, from the University of Calgary and an ongoing supporter of CCA, was instrumental in piloting this project. And I didn't know you were going to be sitting there when I wrote this.
But I am.
I spent a lot of time talking about the last century, and that's because probably most of you don't know a lot about ancient history with CCA. In the last 20 years, great things have been done, and you people know about the great things that have been done. It is a great pleasure at a time when many organizations are failing because of technological and social changes that we are here to celebrate 30 years. I'm confident that with the leadership that we have now and the younger members of the future, I'll be invited back in 30 years to celebrate again.
Yeah!